What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC 255. And I really wanted to get this video out early, but I've been really sick over the past couple days, so wanted to make sure I was fully prepared, so took an extra day to get some research in. And now I'm ready to talk some fights here, ready to break it down for you guys. We have a lot to talk about. As always, for these pay-per-view cards, I do like doing some giveaways, so there's going to be 2 giveaways as always. First, to enter this giveaway, all you have to do is first, like the video. Next, subscribe if you haven't yet. Third, comment down your DraftKings username, and I'll get you in the DraftKings contest. If you already did comment on my other DraftKings video, I'll definitely get you in. If not, comment down your DraftKings username. And the next one, I know a lot of people do not play DraftKings, so of course, got to do a contest for everybody else. And if you're doing DraftKings too, you can do both contests. So the next one, first, like the video. Next, subscribe if you haven't yet. And third, comment how many significant strikes that Valentina Shevchenko is going to have in her fight. Pretty simple there. If there is a tie, as always, it'll go to the person that commented first. Nothing crazy, $25 the first. Last time, somebody got it on the dot, so hopefully somebody can get on the dot here again. And yeah, it's a pretty good card. Not the strongest card from a pay-per-view standpoint, but a pretty solid card nonetheless. Lots of really good matchups, lots of really big favorites as well. Coming off of a pretty rough week last week, I had 2 bets fall off the card. We did have 12 fights was supposed to happen last week, and then we had 3 fights fall off, and we have 12 as of now. Hopefully all these fights stay on the card. They really need to go back to Fight Island. It seems like every single week on these Vegas cards that somebody falls off, so... but yeah, really looking forward to this week. I did have a parlay with RDA and parlayed with somebody on this card as well, so hopefully that all works out. And yeah, we're gonna talk some bets, talk some fights here. But yeah, we're gonna get started. Before we get started, though, if you guys can leave a like, subscribe if you have not yet, would appreciate that a ton. I'm trying to get to 10K subscribers by the end of the year. I know it's a huge goal, but I do think we can do it. All the support I've been getting has been fantastic. So we're going to start with the first fight of the night. And they've been changing it around on me. I'm assuming this is going to be the first fight of the night. And we have Luis Cosce versus Sasha Palatnikov. Very tough last name to pronounce, but Sasha Palatnikov, he is 31 years old, 6'1", 5-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. And then Luis Cosce, he is 25 years old, 5'9", 71-inch reach, 7-0 and obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds, and Cosce is a really big favorite here, sitting at -400. And I guess I can see why, and we'll get into it in a little bit. But yeah, Luis Cosce, -400 on some books, -425. I see Sasha Palatnikov is +330 there. So yeah, big favorite. Definitely one of the biggest favorites on the card. I think is the second biggest favorite on the card behind Valentina. But yeah, watching tape on Sasha Palatnikov, obviously the competition level is very suspect. He looks okay. I mean, his striking does not look great, but what I do like about him, he goes for takedowns. He does get takedowns, a very good top control, very good ground and pound. But we do got to factor in the level of competition. And you can say the same thing for Cosce. I mean, Cosce hasn't really been fighting the best level of competition either. But yeah, I think Cosce is going to have a huge advantage here in the striking, like a big advantage. The problem with that is he going to be able to stuff the takedown of Palatnikov? And I do think he does. And when he does, it's going to be Cosce all day. That's why he's probably a -400 favorite. But the takedown do concern me a little bit. But even then, like Palatnikov was getting reversed by these low-level guys. I do think Cosce is going to be fine there. And yeah, Cosce is an absolute killer, dude. Like he's finished all of his fights in the first round. I don't expect nothing less here. This dude goes after it. Palatnikov has finished 40% of his wins by knockout. I think Cosce, I think he's parlayable. I do have him in a parlay myself, and maybe look at the first round prop if it's good enough. Like this dude's finished all of his fights within the first round. He's an absolute killer. So I do think Cosce has a decent ceiling. I think the dude's good. He's still very young, 25 years old. Lots of room to grow, lots of room to improve. Only 7-0. I do like this guy a lot. So I'm going to take Cosce to win by first round knockout. I think when it's on the feet, it's Cosce all day. Just stuff those takedowns, and he should win. Definitely within the distance and within the first round there. All right, next fight. Another 2 more great prospects. I think 2 of these guys are some good prospects here. And we have Kyle Daukaus versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Daukaus, he is 27 years old, 6'3", 76-inch reach, 9-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Stoltzfus, he is 29 years old, 5'11". 13-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights with a reach of 75 inches. So Daukaus is going to have about an inch reach advantage, and looks like a 4-inch height advantage there. So we all remember Kyle Daukaus. He went in there and fought Brendan Allen, and he actually made a good account of himself, was able to scramble well with Brendan Allen, looked decent on the feet as well. And we'll take a look at the odds here. Another really big favorite in Kyle Daukaus, minus 310. The comeback on Stoltzfus is plus 255. I don't think Stoltzfus is a scrub by any means at all. I actually think he has some decent upside. I think he's a really good prospect. But Daukaus, like on the mat, Daukaus is legit. Like we saw with Brendan Allen, the dude's takedowns are really good. Watching tape on Stoltzfus, pretty decent striker. He has some power. The thing I noticed was he can be taken down, and that's just a recipe for disaster against a guy like Kyle Daukaus. And when Daukaus does get it to the mat, Stoltzfus could be in some trouble. I think this is going to be a really fun fight. I do think it could be semi-competitive, but ultimately I do see it touch the mat, and I do see Daukaus having a lot of success down there, maybe finding a submission. Daukaus has finished 89% of his wins by submission. Stoltzfus, he's never been submitted, never been knocked out. Both guys have never been submitted or knocked out. But I could see Daukaus possibly getting a submission there. But I'm going to say Kyle Daukaus wins by... I'm going to say he wins by decision here. I'm going to say he does really well on the ground. On the feet, it could be a little iffy, but I think he does have the wrestling to get it down to the mat. I think Stoltzfus is good, though. I think Stoltzfus is legit. I don't think he's a scrub by any means. So I guess you could say the minus 300 is a little bit too wide, but I think Daukaus is a pretty safe parlay piece, in my opinion there. So Kyle Daukaus by decision. I think a sub's not out of question as well. All right, another prospect, Alan Jouban versus Jared Goodin. Jouban, he is 38 years old, 6 foot, 74-inch reach, 16-7 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Jared Goodin, he is 26 years old, 6 foot, 76-inch reach, going to have a 2-inch reach advantage on Alan Jouban. 17-4 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. We have Jared Goodin plus 130 underdog, and Alan Jouban minus 150 favorite there. So Alan Jouban is a favorite here. Opened up at minus 105. Currently at minus 150. I kind of agree with the opener a little bit more to where it's at now. I do think this is a really close fight. It's all going to be up to who implements their game plan here. Alan Jouban, he's 38 years old. He's definitely getting past his career here. I do think he's on his way out. He has not been looking all that impressive as of late. And Jared Goodin, he's like 12 years younger there. And I'll be honest, I'm not overly impressed on Jared Goodin, but I kind of like his fight style. He comes forward. He looks for the finish. Has finished a decent amount of his fights. Has finished 78% of his wins. And Jouban, this is such a tough fight to call. I'm going to say Goodin's going to knock him out early. Jouban has had some chin issues as of late. He's been knocked out 3 times as well. He's been submitted once. And Jared Goodin does pack some power. But the only thing I'm concerned about is if Jared Goodin does not get that early finish, he definitely does slow down. I do think Jouban's the more technical striker by a decent margin, but 38 years old, definitely towards the end of his career. Jared Goodin, the young, hungry up-and-comer here. I'm going to say Goodin gets him out of there, especially with the small cage. I do think that helps Goodin a lot. I'm going to take Goodin by first-round knockout. I'm going to take the dog here to get it done in the first round. If it gets out of the first round, it's definitely going to be dicey, but I don't know. Jouban, 38 years old. I do think he's at the end of his career here, so give me Jared Goodin for the win in the first round. All right. Exciting fight here. This could be, one of the best fights on the card, and it's Daniel Rodriguez versus Nicholas Dalby. Daniel Rodriguez, he is 33 years old, 6'1", 74-inch reach, 13-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Dalby, he is 35 years old, 5'11", 74.5-inch reach, 18-4-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So what I like about Daniel Rodriguez is he brings a lot of volume, averages 8.46 significant strikes per minute with a 48% accuracy. The dude throws a ton of volume. His gas tank's good, but we did see him get tired in one of his fights. That's just because he threw like 300 significant strikes, something like that. He threw 300 strikes, something like that. So yeah, the dude throws a ton of volume. Does absorb a lot as well, 7.14 absorb per minute with a 54% striking defense. Nicholas Dalby only averages 3.17 significant strikes per minute with a 38% accuracy. And as for the grappling stats go, I kind of have a feeling that Dalby's going to try to go to his takedowns here. Dalby does average 1.74 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 45% accuracy, but Rodriguez has pretty good defensive wrestling, 66% takedown defense. A lot of people don't know this, but I believe Dan Rodriguez is a really good on the ground. Like I think he's a brown belt in BJJ, and he doesn't really go to it as much, especially in the UFC. Hasn't went to it, but I mean, he submitted Tim Means, but other than that, he really hasn't used that jiu-jitsu there. But the dude's legit on the mat. He really is. So I think if Dalby even takes him down, I don't know, Dalby could be playing with fire down there. But ultimately, I do see this stay standing on the feet for most of the fight there, and like there's some big red flags. Dalby against Jesse Ronson, was not able to take him down. Red flag number 1. He got dropped by Jesse Ronson. Red flag number 2. And then he got submitted by Jesse Ronson. Red flag number 3. All not good things there. A lot of people did expect Dalby to get it done, including me. A lot of people had Nicholas Dalby in their parlays. I was not one of those people, but still, I really did expect Nicholas Dalby to beat Jesse Ronson. Ronson's someone who's not known for his power. He went out there and dropped Dalby, and what I noticed is Dalby gets dropped a ton. I think in 4 out of his 6 UFC fights, the dude's been dropped, so his chin's very questionable, and that seems like a recipe for disaster against Dan Rodriguez, who does pack a lot of power, who does throw a lot of significant strikes. And what I like about Rodriguez is this dude has a chin on him. He really does. I mean, he got clipped hard by Dwight Grant. He really did. And he was able to survive, a great recoverability, great heart, and he came back and knocked Grant down like 3 times, ended up finishing him. Fantastic comeback. I could not believe what I saw in that fight. But yeah, I really like Rodriguez here. We'll take a look at the line. Another big favorite, minus 310, Rodriguez, plus 255, Dalby. And it's understandable. I mean, Rodriguez, I really do think is the real deal. Like, I've been really high on this guy ever since the Tim Means fight. The dude's legit. He's tough. He throws a lot of volume. He has a good ground game that we haven't seen as much yet in the UFC. But, yeah, I like Rodriguez here. I really do question the durability issues of Dalby. I really question where he's at in his career. Losing to Jesse Ronson, big red flag. I'm going to say Dan Rodriguez, I think he can win a decision, but I'm going to say he knocks him down, finishes him on the mat. I'm going to say Rodriguez wins. I'm going to say give me second round knockout for Dan Rodriguez there. I really like D-Rod here. I do have him in a parlay with somebody else on the card. So yeah, give me Rodriguez for the win. All right, interesting fight here. Antonina Shevchenko versus Ariana Lipsky. And this fight's, honestly, it's really tough to call. Shevchenko, 35 years old. The other Shevchenko here, the older Shevchenko, 5'8", 68-inch reach, 8-2 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Ariana Lipsky, 26 years old, 5'6", 67-inch reach, 13-5 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. Minus 160, Antonina Shevchenko, and plus 140, Ariana Lipsky. So this fight is hard to call for this reason. I think that if Lipsky came out here with a wrestling-heavy game plan, she could most definitely win this fight. We've seen Antonina Shevchenko struggle with that ground game against Roxanne Modafferi, was able to take her down. Caitlyn Chookagian was able to dominate her on the mat for 2 rounds there. Is Lipsky the same skill level as a Chookagian or as a Roxanne Modafferi? No, not at all, but could she implement that game plan of getting the takedowns and doing work on the mat? I don't know. I mean, we saw Shevchenko, she was able to get a submission in one of her wins. So her ground game is improving. Her takedown defense is improving. Just getting taken down by Caitlyn Chookagian is not a good look, because I believe that was Caitlyn Chookagian's first takedown ever in the UFC. But since I haven't seen it, I gotta slightly lean with Antonina Shevchenko, because I do think on the feet she has a really big advantage. Ariana Lipsky, she is very hittable. She does pack some power though, but she is hittable indeed. She has been finished 4 times by strikes. Not overly high on her. I did pick her last time to beat Luana Carolina, which Luana Carolina is not great whatsoever, to say the least. She was able to go out there and submit her. And I do see this taking place mostly on the feet. If this does go to the mat, yeah, Lipsky probably, I want to say she has an advantage if it goes to the mat. It's just I haven't seen that. I haven't seen her go out there and wrestle for a lot of periods of time. So I'm not going to pick her for that reason. So I do see this playing out on the feet. I'm going to take Shevchenko. I think it could play out close, as a lot of women's fights do. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to bet the minus 160. No way, I'm not betting that. But yeah, maybe Lipsky can come in here and get takedowns. If not, she's going to lose a decision. And I'm more so leaning towards that. And even then, like, I'm sure Shevchenko is working nonstop on her takedown defense, on her ground game. And we have seen improvements, but just not a good look getting dominated on the mat by Caitlyn Chookagian. But we got to think like Chookagian's a much better fighter compared to Lipsky. So I think Shevchenko is definitely the pick here, and I'm going to pick her to win by decision, and I would not bet this fight in a million years. Now, this fight is the people's main event here. This fight is the fight we are all waiting to see. Joaquin Buckley versus Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people were counting this dude out, the Beverly Hills Ninja. I was all over it. A lot of people were betting against this guy, betting Villanueva against this guy. I can understand why, I guess. But man, he went out there and he finished Villanueva in like a minute with that cut stoppage there. And getting into a little bit of the stats here. So Buckley, he is 26 years old, going to be the younger fighter here with more experience, 5'10", 73-inch reach, 11-3, and just 3 more fights in experience. Well, but you got to think, like, Buckley's been fighting the way better competition, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but Buckley is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. And Jordan Wright, 29 years old, 6'2", 77-inch reach. He's going to have a 4-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage as well. 11-0, but that record is a little skewed because he did get knocked out by Anthony Hernandez, which then turned into a no contest because I believe Hernandez popped for marijuana, something like that. So, yeah, the dude got knocked out. I watched it with my own eyes. He got knocked out by Anthony Hernandez in like the first couple minutes of the fight. So, Wright, he's decent. I do think he's a lot better than people think. A lot of people think this dude's a scrub, but I don't think that. I do think that he does not like being the nail. He likes being the hammer. If you make this guy be the nail, he definitely gets uncomfortable in the Alexander Hernandez fight. Hernandez pushed him against the cage, and it looked like he really did not know what to do. Ended up getting knocked out. So that's not something you can really see on his record, but it did happen. And I guess the only concerns I have in this fight for Buckley is that height disadvantage, in that reach disadvantage. But I don't know. Buckley looked fantastic in his last fight against Impa, and we're not even going to talk about the knockout. But he looked good. Like, he was able to strike and win rounds against Impa. And a lot of people Impa was everybody's favorite parlay piece that night. And I warned everybody, like, don't parlay Impa Kasaganay. This is such a dangerous fight. There was the recency bias with the Holland fight, but we got to remember Buckley came in on short notice against the Holland fight. So getting more time here to prepare for Impa, getting more time here to prepare for Wright. I do think we're going to see some good stuff out of Buckley, and like, the dude has some great experience. He really does. I'm going to take Joaquin Buckley to get it done here. I am a big fan of the Beverly Hills Ninja. I'm just not completely sold on him yet. I can't get that Alexander Hernandez fight out of my head. I think that if Buckley does pressure him, but Wright does not like being hit. He really does not like being hit. So Villanueva was not able to implement that game plan. Villanueva is not a great fighter. And Buckley, as soon as this fight was announced, I was like, yeah, Buckley's going to be minus 300. And Buckley is actually minus 250 right now. So he did open up minus 365, which is crazy. But no, I see a lot of love for Jordan Wright. So this line is coming down a lot. And I guess I can see why. This could play out kind of close. I do think with a smaller cage, it does favor Buckley here, being able to close distance more. So Jordan Wright's not able to stay to the outside and all that. But Jordan Wright plus 210. And yeah, a lot of people are high on this guy. A lot of people like this guy. A lot of people are jumping on the Beverly Hills Ninja train. I like him. I like him a lot. I'm a big fan. I love the nickname. He did win me some money in the Villanueva fight, but I got to go Buckley here. I got to go with the more experienced guy. And I didn't even talk about this, but the first 7 wins that Wright has, all 7 of those guys did not have a win. His opponent did not have a win in all 7 of those fights. So very, very suspect competition. I'm going to go with Buckley here. I'm going to ride with Buckley, especially now, like, the line's coming down a lot. Minus 250, I actually really like that. Definitely a parlay piece for me here. If anything, like, if you don't want to bet aside, like, the under 1.5 rounds is the way to go. So all of Wright's fights have finished under that 1.5 mark. And just the styles of both guys, it's really hard to see this fight even ending outside of the first round. So the under 1.5 is something I'm going to be really looking at. But I'm going to take Joaquin Buckley to win in the first round. I'm going to say he pressures Wright, closes the distance, and knocks him out. So give me Joaquin Buckley to get it done. And for all of you guys that are going to say this, no, it is not recency bias for the KO. I like Buckley here to win. I really do. So, yeah, really good fight there. And we have another good fight. This is probably the best fight on the card. And we have Brandon Moreno versus Brandon Raw Dog Royval. And another really tough fight to call. And you wouldn't really think it's tough looking at the odds. And the odds here is Moreno minus 190 and Brandon Royval was plus 165. Royval cashed as an underdog last time against Kaikar France. And I was so close to betting him. I definitely picked him to win, but I was so close to betting Royval all week. Decided to lay off. Picked him to win by submission and all that. Did not bet it. I know a lot of people that did, but I did not pull the trigger there. I wasn't really convinced on the guy. But after that performance, I am convinced on the guy. I do think Royval's the real deal here. But yeah, tough matchup it seems like. Going against Brandon Moreno. Moreno's 26 years old, 5'7", 70-inch reach. 17, 5-1, and 3-1 in his last 5 fights. Brandon Royval, he is 28 years old, 5'9", 12-4, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. 70.5-inch reach. And man, this is such a tough fight to call. I think both guys are really good. I think both guys have a ton of upside. A lot of people were saying that Royval's improving each and every fight. He's really young, and I totally agree. But we got to think like Moreno's really young himself. Moreno's younger at 26 years old. He's definitely improving, and we've seen him improve leaps and bounds over his past couple fights. His striking is getting a lot better. Like his striking is legit now. His scrambling game's legit. His ground game's getting very good as well. And I think he has a little chip on his shoulder. I think he should be the one getting that title shot against Davis and Figueiredo right now. So yeah, both these guys are hungry. Both these guys want it. But yeah, on the feet, you got to favor Moreno. I think he's the much more technical striker, and it's really not even close. He does throw a lot of output. And what I noticed about Royval, not technical, but he does come forward. He does come forward. He's very dangerous, but he leaves so many openings. He was rocked hard by Kaikar France. He was able to rock Kaikar France like a second after that, but still, he was rocked nonetheless. And I just think Royval's a lot more hittable than a Brandon Moreno. And I'm not overly convinced about Royval's wrestling game either, especially against Brandon Moreno, who has a really good scrambling game, really good ground game himself. So I do see this playing out on the feet for a lot of this portion of the fight, but I can also see it hitting the ground. And when it does, Moreno can definitely hold his own, but it's not going to be ideal to go to the mat with Brandon Royval. But Moreno has been to the mat with some really good grapplers. And ultimately, I'm going to go Brandon Moreno here. I do think on the feet he's going to have a lot of success. Like I said, way more technical than Brandon Royval. But Royval's going to be coming forward. He's going to be coming forward with these unorthodox shots, some nice knees. I think it's going to be a close fight. I really do. I can understand anybody taking a shot on Royval. I definitely get it. I think the line should be a little bit closer. But I'm ultimately going to go with Brandon Moreno. Like I said, 26 years old. The dude's improving himself. I really like both fighters, so this is a hard pick for me. But I'm going to take Brandon Moreno to win by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a late finish as well. Moreno does pack some power, but both these guys have never been finished. So give me Brandon Moreno to win by decision, and this is my pick for Fight of the Night. All right. So if Buckley and Wright was not the people's main event, it's probably this one. Marcio Hua, Shogun Hua here versus Paul Craig. Got a rematch. So in the first fight, Paul Craig went out there and he basically almost knocked out Shogun Hua, emptied his gas tank, and the next 2 rounds were really bad for Paul Craig. Ended up getting that draw there, and I really thought he was going to knock out Shogun, like he almost did. And we'll take a look. Well, first of all, like Shogun, he's 38 years old, definitely towards the end of his career. We saw in his last fight, like against the Little Nog, Shogun's definitely on his way out. He really is. He did not look good in his last fight. 6'1", 76-inch reach, 27, 11-1, and 3-1 in his last 5 fights. Paul Craig, 32 years old, 6'3", 76-inch reach, 13, 4-1, and 3-1 in his last 5 fights. So yeah, we'll take a look at the odds. Paul Craig, this is crazy to me. Like, it's crazy to see Paul Craig being a favorite. This dude's usually always an underdog. And even against Ankalaev, he was like, I forget. He was, we'll see now. Against Ankalaev, he was, he was a big underdog, plus 210. Against Jimmy Crude, he was plus 175. Against Kennedy and Jokuku, plus 165. Alonzo Menafield, plus 180. Like, this dude's always an underdog. Vincent Maria, he was a slight favorite there. And then Antagulov, he was a slight favorite at minus 125. So, Paul Craig is famous for the submission of Antagulov's last fight, and Ankalaev when he got that last second submission as well. So, yeah, Paul Craig, a lot of people sleep on this guy. It seems like the UFC, for a lot of portion of his career, would bring in these power punchers to get a quick knockout. Alonzo Menafield, they were bringing in prospects like Kennedy Njoku, Jim Crute, Ankalaev to just get them an easy win, I guess. But say what you want about Paul Craig, but Paul Craig is definitely improving each and every single time. His striking is getting a lot better. This dude, a lot of people counts him out, but he is definitely improving. His striking is getting better. And just in this fight, like, at their current state, like, I think that Paul Craig is the better fighter here. I really do. I think at this point, Shogun is on his way out. I do think Paul Craig is the better fighter. And Paul Craig, he's very dangerous. He's finished 100% of his wins, 92% being by submission, 8% being by knockout for 100% finish rate. And Shogun has finished 78% of his wins by knockout, 4% by submission. Shogun has been knocked out 4 times. He's been submitted 3 times. I don't know. I see Paul Craig knocking this guy out. I think Paul Craig's a better striker at this point. I really do. He's going to be throwing more volume. As long as he doesn't gas out like he did last time, I see him getting this win. I'm going to say Paul Craig knocks out Shogun in the first round. I'm going to say he has some unfinished business to do. And Paul Craig is very dangerous here. So give me Paul Craig to get it done. First round knockout, maybe a submission as well. But I do like Paul Craig to get it done. Would I bet on Paul Craig at minus 170? Probably not. Like I said, you usually don't want to bet on Paul Craig as a favorite. But yeah, give me Paul Craig to get it done here. All right. Cynthia Calvillo versus Caitlyn Chookagian. Calvillo, 33 years old, 5'4", 64-inch reach, 9-1, 3-1, and 1 in her last 5 fights. Caitlyn Chookagian, she is 31 years old, 5'9", 66-inch reach, 14-4, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. So Caitlyn Chookagian is going to have some physical advantages, as just like she did in the Jessica Andrade fight. And I was really, really high on Andrade in the last fight. I didn't bet it. I wanted to stay away. A lot of people were on the Chookagian side. Looking back on it, like, that's crazy. Like, Andrade was able to get her out of there with a nice body shot. And this fight, I think it's definitely harder to call. And it's just crazy how things work. Like, Calvillo's minus 265. You'd think Andrade should have been like minus 200, minus 250, you know, but now Cynthia Calvillo is minus 265. And I think this fight's going to play out closer than the Andrade fight did. So, yeah, so basically for me, I think on the feet, you gotta, I guess, favorite Chookagian. I'm not in love with her striking. She really doesn't land much. 35% accuracy, which is really bad. She makes more noises than strikes landed. Just not in love with her like that. Like, and the thing that's going to do it for me is going to be the takedown defense of Chookagian. She does have a 48% takedown defense, which again is really bad. And Calvillo has some really good wrestling. So I see it being close on the feet. Judges really like Chookagian. They really like those tennis sounds that she makes. But ultimately, I do see Calvillo taking it down to the mat. Calvillo does average about 2 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 46% takedown accuracy. And Chookagian cannot stop a takedown. So the picks Calvillo. This is really not a fight that I want to watch. Not the most exciting fight in the world. But Calvillo is going to take her down and lay on her for a couple minutes at a time and eke out a decision. Could it be close? Yeah, especially if Calvillo stands and strikes with Chookagian, because, again, the judges love Chookagian for some reason. She doesn't land much, but she's very active. So the picks Calvillo by decision. And, yeah, the line is really wide, especially for this type of fight that could play out close. Minus 265 for Calvillo, plus 225 for Caitlyn Chookagian. The line really is too wide there, but she should get it done. As long as she comes in here with a good game plan, she should win a pretty clear decision. All right, another really good fight and another really hard fight to call. Mike Perry, 29 years old, 5'10", 71-inch reach, 14-6 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Tim Means, 36 years old, 6'2", 75-inch reach, 30, 12 and 1 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So getting into the numbers here a little bit. Tim Means does land 4.92 significant strikes per minute compared to Mike Perry's 4.36. Tim Means with a 61% striking defense compared to Mike Perry's 56 striking defense. As for the grappling stats go, I don't know. I don't know if Mike Perry's going to come out here with a wrestling-heavy game plan. He got a couple takedowns his last fight against Mickey Gall. Mike Perry only averages about 0.6 takedowns per 50 minutes with a 46% accuracy. And Means does have a 63% takedown defense. As for the finish stats, both really good finishers here. Perry has finished 79% of his wins by knockout. Tim Means has finished 80% of his wins, 63% by knockout, 17% by submission. Means has been knocked out once, and he has been submitted 4 times. Mike Perry has been knocked out once and submitted once as well. So this fight is so tough to call because there are so many variables in this fight. Like Mike Perry, where is his head at right now? I don't think this dude is all right. I don't think he's all up there in the head. Like this dude going out there and knocking out an old man at a restaurant, bringing his pregnant girlfriend into his corner for this fight, had his girlfriend in his corner for the last fight. And I went back and watched the Gall fight. Mike Perry did not look great. Like Gall was having so much success on the feet against Perry, so much success. And you know what surprised me was Perry bailed himself out by getting takedowns on Mickey Gall, which coming into that I thought that would have been an awful game plan, but he used those takedowns to win the fight. And yeah, like on the feet, like Gall was looking good. And if Gall can look good, so can Tim Means. But the thing with Tim Means is the dude's 36 years old. He's definitely towards the end of his career. His durability is not once where it was. Like Tim Means is somebody that was used to be known for his durability. The dude was not knocked out in like 40 fights. He wasn't knocked out in like 40 fights. And then all of a sudden, Nico Price went in there and knocked him out for his first knockout loss. After that, Daniel Rodriguez clipped him a couple times, ended up submitting him. So, yeah, I don't know if Tim Means' durability is where it once was. He turned back the clock a little bit. He looked fantastic against Ariana Staropoli, his last fight. And really, like, I think Tim Means is the more technical striker. I think he's going to throw the more volume. I think he's more defensively sound. Mike Perry was just eating shots with his face against Mickey Gall, getting busted up by Mickey Gall his last fight. And like I said, I don't know where his head's at right now. I don't know if he's all there right now. I did read a tweet where it said Mike Perry has to cut 15 pounds this fight week. And again, I want to see the weigh-ins here. I really do want to see the weigh-ins because this can definitely persuade me to, go either way here. Tim Means is coming in on short notice, which again is concerning. So I do need to see the weigh-ins. My lean's going to be Tim Means. It's just the durability that's causing me to not bet this fight. This is a big pass here. I really think Means is the better fighter, the more well-rounded fighter here. It's just the durability. Can Mike Perry put him out? I don't know. It's a tough fight. I'm going to lean with Means to get a decision win. Mike Perry is very durable. Only been finished once by Neil. But man, this is a tough fight to call. Lots of variables in this fight. Very interesting. I think it's going to be entertaining. Mike Perry's bringing his girlfriend into his corner. I don't know how much training he's been doing and all that with everything going on. And you can definitely tell, like in the Gall fight, he did not look great. It looked like he was not training. I think he said for that fight camp he had 2 sparring sessions. So how many sparring sessions did he have for this one? It really makes you think, but I'm going to go with Means. I'm going to go with the dude that probably has more motivation for this fight. And it's crazy. Like Mike Perry's only 29 years old, and this dude's like on a decline, like a really big decline. So Tim Means is on a decline as well, but give me Tim Means to get it done. Probably very, very hesitant on that pick, but kind of got to with all the question marks with Mike Perry. But I do want to see the weigh-ins. The weigh-ins can definitely sway me either way there. So tune into the live stream on Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, going over the weigh-ins. The weigh-ins have been very important as of late for sure. All right. Co-main event. Not going to spend too much time on this co-main event. Not overly interested in it. I'm sure a lot of people aren't. Valentina Shevchenko, she is 32 years old, 5'5", 65.5-inch reach, 19-3. 2 of those losses coming from Amanda Nunes. 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Jennifer Maia, 32 years old, 5'4", 64-inch reach, 18-6-1, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. And I don't know if I said the Mike Perry or Tim Means odds, but Mike Perry is minus 150. So a lot of money coming in on Mike Perry. Don't really understand how anybody could be confident in Mike Perry. And then Valentina Shevchenko, minus 1375. I see minus 1700. I see minus 1800. Jennifer Maia, I see plus 1,000. But this is definitely not a Shanna Dobson situation here. This is not a Maria Agapova situation. This is Valentina Shevchenko. She is very legit, obviously. Arguably the women's GOAT behind Amanda Nunes. But yeah, pretty clear win for Shevchenko. Don't want to break it down too much. She could probably keep it standing if she wants. If she wants to get takedowns, go for it. I do think she can work her ground game. It's ultimately, for me, is she going to win a decision here, or is she going to get the finish? So Maia has been knocked out only once in 25 fights there. But, Valentina is definitely a different animal. I see Valentina getting it done by knockout within the first couple rounds there. Again, not overly excited for this fight. Pretty much anybody they're going to match Valentina up with, it's not going to be a competitive unless it's like an Amanda Nunes. But give me Valentina here for the win. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one there. So Valentina, I'm gonna say third round knockout for Valentina. All right, so this one is going to be a good fight here. The main event, Deiveson Figueiredo versus Alex Perez. And Alex Perez, 28 years old. I really do like this guy. He's 5'6", 65.5-inch reach, 24-5, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Deiveson Figueiredo, 32 years old, 5'5", 68-inch reach, 19-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. That one loss coming to Jussier Formiga. And it was rumored that he did come into that fight with some type of shoulder injury. He was taken down pretty much every single round, controlled for a decent amount of time in that fight. But again, ever since then, he's looked fantastic. He's patched that ground game up for sure. His ground game is legit. And we'll talk about it a little bit more. But taking a look at the odds, Deiveson Figueiredo is -300 and Alex Perez is +250. So I'll say it right now. I did parlay RDA last week with Deiveson Figueiredo this week. So hopefully I'm going to hit that. And yeah, I like Figueiredo a lot in this fight. So we'll get into the stats a little bit. Figueiredo only lands 2.8 significant strikes per minute. He does not land much, but when he lands extremely hard, the hardest hitter in the division. Alex Perez does land 4.68 significant strikes per minute. Figueiredo has a 55% accuracy compared to Alex Perez's 47%. And Figueiredo does have a 51% striking defense compared to Alex Perez's 61%. So the wrestling, Perez does average 3.03 takedowns per 50 minutes. Really good wrestler, really good takedowns. It's just, if you are shooting takedowns on Deiveson Figueiredo, you are playing with fire. Like, Figueiredo's submission game is very, very good. Extremely good submission game. And Alex Perez has actually been submitted 3 times. He does put himself in some bad spots. He has looked better as of late, but he does put himself in some really bad spots on the mat. And Figueiredo has finished 37% of his wins by submission, 47% by knockout. The dude is an absolute killer. And yeah, Alex Perez has finished 50% of his wins, so half his wins coming by finish. Pretty clear fight here to call for me. The pick's going to be Figueiredo. I think this is a really big step up in competition for Alex Perez, and I know you can say that Jussier Formiga beat Figueiredo a couple years ago, but still, I think this is a big step up for Alex Perez. Figueiredo has gotten better and better, and you know what I like about Figueiredo is he's been having some weight cutting issues, some weight concerns, some cardio concerns. But it looks like he's patching that up. I mean, I saw a tweet where he usually weighs like 140 or 240, or my bad, 141 during fight week on like a Monday, but this time he's like weighing like 134. So he's like getting his weight issues in order. It seems like his cardio's been looking better as of late, and he looked fantastic in his last fight against Joseph Benavidez. He knocked him down like 3 or 4 times, ended up submitting Benavidez, giving Benavidez his first submission loss. And I was all over Figueiredo in that fight. Had him in a bet. I have him in a bet here. I really do like him in this fight. Alex Perez, really good leg kicks, but he's definitely gonna have to pay for those leg kicks if he does throw them with Figueiredo here. And I think the smaller cage, I want to say it favors Figueiredo here. I really do. Because it's just going to force him to push the action a little bit more. And when Figueiredo lands, he lands very hard. Perez has been knocked out before. He's been submitted before. Perez is probably going to shoot some takedowns, and I do think he's playing with fire. I'm going to say that he does shoot a takedown. I'm going to say he gets caught in something early in the fight. The path to victory for Perez, it would be extending this fight, getting it past that second, third round. Figueiredo slowing down, occasionally getting takedowns, staying on top, staying out of trouble, but that's like easier said than done. Like, Figueiredo is an absolute killer. He really is. 32 years old, and I do think he's still going to be champ after this fight. And I'm really high on Perez. I really do like the guy, but this is a big step up in competition. It really is. So, like I said, Figueiredo -300. I have him in a parlay with RDA from last week. Hopefully that hits. I do think it's a fine parlay piece. I think Figueiredo inside the distance is probably even better, because it's hard to see Figueiredo winning a decision. I mean, I think he can, but I don't see this fight going to decision either way. Like, these guys are going to definitely go at it. So just to recap on the picks, Figueiredo, Shevchenko, Paul Craig, Calvillo, Tim Means, Antonina Shevchenko, Jared Goodin, Kyle Daukaus, Brandon Moreno, Buckley, Cosce. And I really want to watch the weigh-ins for the Mike Perry and Tim Means fight. I think that's going to be really important to watch the weigh-ins. Same thing for the Figueiredo Perez. I want to see how Figueiredo looks on the scales. I want to see how that weight cut was. And other than that, yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all the support. Make sure you guys comment down your DraftKings name. Comment down how many significant strikes you think Valentina Shevchenko is going to land in her fight against Jennifer Maia. Winner of both will get $25 each. Just something to say thank you for all the support. Let's hit that subscribe button. Let's try to get 10,000 subs by the end of the year. That'd be an awesome milestone. Hit that like button. It always helps out a ton. Make sure you guys tune into the live stream Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. All my bets, all my content's always going to be free, but if you do want to support me more, you can sign up on the Patreon, which is down in the description below. Really helps out a lot. Really helps me do this full time. Lots of great content out for you guys. I do betting breakdowns on each bet I do. Every time I do a bet, I put it out on Patreon so we can beat some lines there. And get my model with all the stats that you need for each fighter. Access to the Discord. Lots of great opportunities in there on the Patreon, and it really does help me out. If you do want to support, it really does help out a lot. So just got 200 members on that. And other than that, if you guys want to chat some fights, my DMs are always open. Twitter is DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. If you want to talk some fights, you want to talk some bets, I'm always down to talk those with you. So that's about it, guys. And good luck. We have a great card. Lots of great betting opportunities. Chalky card. A nice card for some parlays. I know a lot of you guys like some parlays. So if you have any bets, good luck. And see you guys on Friday.